And I'm not going to be able to capture all my thoughts, but these are what I thought as I was finishing up work today. So this is addressing consolidation. The board decision on July of 2009 to close the Langley Middle School was premature and made without proper information. Only now, when we are finally starting to get real numbers out of the district, do we see that that decision to close the LMS facility, which actually provides the richest learning experience for middle-level learning, was a bad one. If you look closely at the grade configuration cost chart that's going to be presented here tonight, you'll notice that the K4 and 5-8 and 9-12 option is not presented. Now, why is this? Well, it's because if you look at it, if you did add it, it would show that for about $13.5 million compared to the $13 million under the current plan to cram the 6th through 8th into the high school, you can have a 3-building system with all updates currently proposed, plus a seismically updated middle school, best suited for housing middle-level students and teachers. You'd have 95,000 prime educational square feet that could easily obtain a lower operational cost by closing less used portions of the building and keeping prime facilities open. That is exactly what you're currently doing at the primary school and tout as the way that you have saved teachers' jobs. It's time to get creative and do the same thing at the middle school. To those who say that going to a 2-building model in the district is a must, well, I say maybe that may be true in the future. It's definitely not true today. Consolidating to a 3-building model first, closing the primary and keeping the middle school, not only saves the very program that the board is on track to decimate, but it provides upgrades to the LMS building that, as proper stewards of that building, will be needed in the future. In the years to come, the board can track numbers and come up with a proper threshold for when a 2-building model using existing facilities would make sense. The idea of building a new school so that we can close an old school just does not fly with this community. As a community, we need to advocate for a sensible solution that thinks long-term and does not act in haste. I present to you that the board needs to adopt an open and transparent set of criteria that any and all configuration option must be weighed against. The board needs to suspend the restriction that LMS must close and evaluate all credible solutions. And there are credible solutions that keep LMS open. The board needs to compare these credible solutions with the above criteria and clearly communicate those comparisons to the community. They have not done so to date. Listen to that bond expert. It is about establishing a relationship of trust with your voters that does not exist today and gets worse with every article in the record, every coffee chat in Langley, every visit to grandparents, and every parent chat at soccer practice. People are talking, and it's not a good message that they're spreading. It is not about keeping LMS open or closed, and it's not about just dollars and cents. It's about doing what's right for the kids. Doing what's right for the kids is to keep their programs intact. I'm going to leave you with a direct quote from Director Parker, I wish he was here, from the July 22nd, 2009 meeting. And I quote, "Forget about the bond for a minute. It's about the programs. Assuming that we have maintained that culture we have talked about, that identity when we move, and we do it in the right way if that becomes the decision here. I will keep going back to the middle school culture, to me is integral to all of this. If we cannot maintain that cougar, then we have lost more than we have gained. Forget about the money. It's my personal opinion." Director Parker, I can't agree with you more, and the current plan proposed by Dr. McCarthy completely goes against the good faith expressed so many times that night. The importance of program integrity, doing what is best for the kids. This plan Dr. McCarthy has proposed falls way short. The board needs to roll up its sleeves, start to think outside of the box, and it needs to get on the path of regaining trust in this community. Please come back to the community with an objective framework, with objective numbers that take an objective look at all the ramifications to the students, staff, and this community. Come back with a 20-year plan that supports you asking us to pay for this consolidation over the next 20 years.